You know, one thing that I noticed after moving to Japan is like when I was living in Saipan, I was always looking for Japanese content. So I was always like checking out like different kinds of animes, if I could find anything that's good, new Japanese music that might impress people if I go to karaoke or something like that. Because, you know, they have the old B-Bank. What's that called in Japan? Like a pub, right?
Yeah, like a bar.
Yeah. After I moved here, it's the reverse. Now I'm looking for content from back home.
It's interesting. I think I noticed a similar thing with me too.
And it's not that it's bad. It's just like for me, I burn out and eventually just look for stuff that's in English.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Masen.
Welcome to another episode of the Excuse Me Masen podcast. I'm your host, Saul, and joining me today is Devin, once again, this time in the flesh. How's it going, man?
Hello. I'm here in the flesh.
So today is just going to be a free talk, basically, about how we consume our time in Japan, living here as foreigners.
Yes.
As people who are not like diehard fans of like anime and the typical stuff that foreigners are into when they come to Japan. There's like this general idea in Japan that when foreigners move here, and I'm talking about from the foreigner's perspective, not from the Japanese person's perspective. When we foreigners move to Japan, there tends to be like this general expectation that that person loves anime or like J-pop or stuff like that. But you and I don't. I mean, you moved to Japan because of getting in touch with your roots, for example. I came here for my family. And we're just going to be talking about the kind of stuff that we do with our time while we're here.
Yeah.
And the times that we do consume Japanese content, like what do we consume?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I mean, it's not like I'm not into J-pop. I mean, I love Mr. Children. I love like Ricky G. I love some Japanese artists. Right. It's not like I don't watch a lot of Japanese stuff. But to an extent, or I guess compared to like what people think usually, I guess I don't. And I did move here from my roots. And I think it's a good question because every time my friends visit us here in Japan, one of the things they're always curious about is like, so what do you do on your time off? Like, that's a good question. And sometimes I always like kind of have to, I struggle to think.
I don't think anybody's ever asked me that question before.
I think they just assume that you're always busy with your family and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, for me recently, when I first moved here, I would say like, the way I consumed my time was like playing this video game called Skyrim. Did you know that game?
No, I mean, we talked about this.
Yeah, I found somebody ported it to the Mac. So I downloaded it and I was just playing that like every time I had free time.
Yes.
And other than that, you know, it's taking my daughter to the park. At the time, I only had one kid. So pretty much just video games. But then nowadays, I would say I'm way busier than I was back then. And how I consume my time is mostly like when I get a day off, if my kids are not home, then I'll watch movies or TV shows. Like right now, man, dude, I just finished a show called 1923. You ever heard of that?
No.
It's so good,
it's
bro.
About war.
It's about 1923. No, it's about how Yellowstone became Yellowstone. It's
National Park?
I don't know about it National Park, but it's like there's this family called the Duttons that like there was a prequel called 1883. And then they basically, when the Americans came to America and then they occupied that land, that family occupied that land all the way up until 1923.
Is this, what kind of style is it? Like a drama style, like a kind of heavy drama or like?
Yeah, it's definitely dramatic. Like you can, even the music they choose, you can imagine like a TV show from like the 1960s or something.
Cool. I want to watch like a trailer of it.
It's good. I mean, who's the guy? Harrison Ford. He plays like the main guy,
wow,
like
he's like old
the head of the family. Yeah, he's like an 80-year-old grandpa in the TV show.
Interesting.
And season 2 just I think got completed, just aired, and I watched the last 2 episodes yesterday. Man, that was good.
There's so much I want to watch. And my list just keeps getting longer, and I never get to it.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing recently, and you're watching a lot of movies. I mean,
okay.
What about you? What do you consume?
YouTube, first of all, is definitely the number one thing I'm watching.
Yeah.
So I do watch, this plug, I do watch Kato's show a lot.
Nomad Push, yeah.
Nomad Push. So I do watch that. Other stuff I watch, okay, we've been watching baseball because we've become fans of Ohtani and the Dodgers.
Oh, right.
Over the past year. We watched the World Series last year, and then on the Prime Video subscription, you can watch some documentaries about, I don't know, Ohtani and like Yamamoto and stuff.
Oh, wow.
We've been watching a little bit of that. YouTube, I watch a lot of this guy named CoffeeZilla.
I heard of that name.
Yeah, his whole thing is about like scams and like being a journalist and investigating scams and stuff. So I've been watching that.
Is that the guy with the blue hair?
No, he does not have blue hair.
Okay. Sorry.
I don't know who this is.
I'm talking about like this guy who checks out scammers from India.
Okay.
And then he hacks them.
Okay. I'm watching a lot of this stuff too. Because there's another channel, I forget the name, but they scam the scammers or whatever.
Yeah.
And then recently, just the other day, I have been listening to a podcast by the magazine The Economist. Have you heard of The Economist?
Yeah.
They have a podcast about scams, and it's called Scam Inc. And then they investigate pig butchering scams.
Jesus.
Originating in Myanmar, run by Chinese mafia, employing people from all over the world in order to conduct romance scams with people in Europe, especially, and the US, and drain them of their life savings.
Jesus.
By investing in cryptocurrency and then disappearing.
Yeah.
So I've been listening to that.
You know, one thing that I noticed after moving to Japan is like when I was living in Saipan, I was always looking for Japanese content. So I was always like checking out like different kinds of animes, if I could find anything that's good, new Japanese music that might impress people if I go to karaoke or something like that. Because, you know, they have the old B-Bank, what's that called in Japan? Like a pub, right?
Yeah, like a bar.
Yeah. After I moved here, it's the reverse. Now I'm looking for content from back home.
It's interesting. I think I noticed a similar thing with me too.
And it's not that it's bad. It's just like for me, I burn out and eventually just look for stuff that's in English.
Yeah.
But English content produced in Japan, from my experience, doesn't suit my taste. So I always try to look for like, you know, Hollywood stuff or artists that I grew up with, for example. And then speaking of like consuming Japanese content, I would say like in the beginning, one of the reasons, like I said, why I didn't really consume much Japanese content was because Japanese would make me tired. But then in a previous episode, I told you that I've been brushing up on my Japanese daily. I did a test and I started watching this Japanese anime on Netflix that translates to something about like, man, I can't remember the title, but it's basically about this guy who winds up in a world that's kind of like Final Fantasy, and he's just a normal like suit and tie worker. And then his only power in this Final Fantasy-ish world is he can pull up a web browser at any point in time in empty space and order stuff online, and it just pops out of nowhere and then gets delivered immediately.
This is not a movie. This is a series.
It's an anime, yeah.
Because I watched a movie with my wife like a few years ago or something. It's about like a guy and his son in like a Final Fantasy type of world. I don't know if you.
No, it's just some young guy. Okay. Some young guy. The cream of some young guy.
Wait, so yeah, okay. So this is a show you're watching.
Yeah. So, and it's about this. So this guy, he orders stuff and starts like cooking, and then he attracts this one like giant wolf, and then the giant wolf's like, "Hey, I'll be your bodyguard if you keep cooking me stuff every day." They become like best friends and they start hunting stuff. And then they realize that they can make money selling the parts they cannot eat. So then they start selling it, and then they form like a group. And then it really is like Final Fantasy, because like each person has their own skill.
This sounds like what we used to do when we were like 5 or 8 years old. Like after we play the game, we go outside and we actually pretend we're in the game. Like me and Andrew, my friends used to do that, like Golden Axe, this game where we would go outside and we like start chopping wood and like picking up items and stuff.
Okay.
Wait, so he's actually like in a game world, and he's like a real human being in a game world?
Yeah. But the whole thing is anime, so it's not like CG or anything.
Oh, okay. So it's like, what would a human being do if he was in like a Final Fantasy?
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And it's all in Japanese, and
It's all in Japanese. I didn't watch it with subtitles, and I was like, wow, I can understand everything they're saying.
Yeah,
That's weird.
Yeah. Okay, I wanted to tell you this just a little while ago. I had the same experience. I've been living here for 10 years, and just a few days ago, I watched one of those stereotypical talk shows on Japanese TV.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about the variety shows where the background is like super colorful and
Not
stuff?
the variety shows. This is the one where I'm sure you've seen this, the one where they spin the bottle and they have a topic and then they're drinking
This is a nighttime show?
Nighttime show.
Okay.
They're around the table and they have to drink and talk about a topic or something.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Anyway, it's interesting. I actually like that show. And then just a few days ago, I watched it and it was all in Japanese. And I was like, oh man, I'm understanding everything. And it's actually really interesting and really funny.
Yeah.
And it's like I'll just tell you, the topic is like the comedian was saying like how to answer in a cool way when someone asks you a question. So everyone's saying like, oh, how do you do it? And he's like, okay, here's what you do. You anticipate why they're asking you the question and their second question that will come after before they ask it.
So you answer the second question?
Yeah. So they're saying something like, oh, where are you from? And then he said, here's the not cool way to do it. I'm from, Jiugaoka. And he's like, oh, where's
Jiugaoka.
Jiugaoka.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, where's that? So that's the not cool way. And then when you anticipate that, you say the part where people know. So it's like, oh, where are you from? Jiugaoka, Tokyo. And then before they ask it, and they're like, oh, wow, that's cool. That's cool. And I don't know, just the way they were talking about it was really funny. And I was like, I was actually understanding it.
Yeah.
So it's good. I can understand things at least now these days.
Yeah. Especially once you start to understand the culture plus the language, that combination makes it so much easier to consume. Like, I like to watch this show. I don't even know what it's called. I keep forgetting the name, but it's the one where there's like these 4 or 5 old guys wearing different colored kimonos, and then they sit down on a pillow. And then if you tell a funny joke, they give you another pillow. And if your joke's not funny, they take the pillow away.
Yeah. Rakugo. That's what you're telling me, I think, earlier.
No, it's not Rakugo.
Oh,
Rakugo is the type of comedy, but there's a show, there's a name for that show.
Yeah.
And I like to watch that. I think it's every Sunday. And
you can understand it.
Yeah, at this point, yeah. Before it would be like in the entire 30-minute show, I'll probably laugh like once because I only understood one reference.
Yeah.
But now it's like the whole time.
Man, that's everything though, actually. It's like language is references. So it's like, imagine like somebody studying English here in Japan in school and then suddenly being thrown into wherever and then watching TV. It's like, okay, you can understand the language, but you don't understand anything else.
Yeah.
What's going on and stuff. So
I actually learned that tip from this guy who used to live in Saipan. He's like this. He's actually my classmate's dad. He's a white American dude who can speak 6 different languages. And he was saying, he was in my Japanese class in college, and he was like, man, if you really want to be multilingual, learning the culture together with the language is going to get you there way faster than if you just try to learn the language by itself. People always say, if you want to learn the language fast, move to that country. It's not just because you keep hearing that language all the time. It's because you're also exposed to the culture every day.
Yeah. I tried watching Kimetsu no Yaiba one time on Netflix, and I was like, I can't understand this in Japanese.
Dude, I watched that because my daughter loves that show, but I couldn't get into it because those guys just cry all the time. Oh my God.
Yeah, I just wanted to watch it because everybody talks about it.
Yeah, other than the crying, it's a good show. But it's just like every few scenes, somebody's like crying, talking about how they tried so hard to do something. Man.
Yeah. Okay.
So after getting into that show, I was thinking about, there's this other show that I got recommended by one of my students' parents.
Right.
Something about like these kids. Oh, it's called Dan Da Dan or something like that.
Oh, okay. No, I know this. And I was just talking about it with Hiro the other day.
Okay.
He's really strongly recommending that I watch it.
Yeah. So the gist of what I was told is that there's this one character that doesn't believe in ghosts, and there's this other character that doesn't believe in aliens. And then the character that doesn't believe in ghosts meets an alien. And then the character that doesn't believe in aliens meets a ghost.
Sounds pretty interesting.
And then the ghost steals the character's balls.
I think this is the turbo granny thing that Kate always talks about.
What's turbo granny?
Every time he goes through a tunnel on his moped, he goes turbo granny tunnel or something.
Oh, in his show?
In his show. And then he explained what turbo granny was to one of his viewers who was asking about it. And it was something about some old witch ghost stealing balls or something like that.
Oh, you got it from that anime?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He loves that anime.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet because I'm like preparing myself mentally to be able to.
So you're interested?
Yeah, I'm interested in checking it out.
I should watch it then.
Because it was recommended to me by somebody who I was unexpected. Like this person I didn't expect to be into anime.
Okay.
And that person was like, you should check that one out. And I was like, well, if she says it's probably something good.
Yeah. What about music? When was the first time you, I don't know, got exposed to Japanese music?
Japanese music? Yeah. Kato. This
so
one
that
day.
was already like high school then.
Yeah, no, in college, dude. In college.
I imagine that you were into Japanese music even way before then.
No, because it was around the time I met you. Because I was having a conversation with Kato, and we were talking about how our favorite singers can sing high keys and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, man, Red Hot Chili Peppers is pretty hard. And he goes like, what? That's nothing compared to Mr. Children. And I was like, did you just tell me like some rapist's name or something like that? And he goes, no, dude, Mr. Children, that's a famous band in Japan. And I listened to it and I was like, holy cow, yeah, that guy can sing high. Mm-hmm. So then I was like,
what song was that? That was probably what?
Hana, Memento Mori.
That was the first one for me too.
And then, yeah, so he told me that and I tried it. I tried to sing it in karaoke and it was like, don't worry, man, foreigners cannot sing in a good Japanese voice. And I was like,
this is that time?
What did you just say to me? So from there, I was like, just watch. So I practiced every day in my car and finally sang in front of him again in the karaoke. And he was like, okay, you definitely like leveled up.
So that was that time. That was like Chili Peppers time when you were playing acoustic guitar. And then that was Mr. Children was the first step.
Yeah. And then from there, I started listening to more artists. I got exposed to another band called Kobukuro. There's also like, I started checking out other artists. Mm-hmm. Like I found this artist called Lekka that sings reggae. And Exile. Yeah, we were super into Exile.
Chemistry.
And then Ricky G, you mentioned earlier, that guy's really talented. And then even this guy named Shimizu Shota, I really like his music too.
Probably, you mentioned B-Bank before in karaoke. Probably your interest in singing made you want to check out other Japanese artists too. Because like if you're just listening to it, or like singing it in karaoke with other people, with other Japanese people is probably big motivation because you want to sing stuff that everybody's singing and they're singing something. You're like, oh, what's that? And then you check it out.
Yeah. So it's definitely being able to connect with other people for sure. Yeah.
And then you just hear stuff because, man, the songs that I always heard you and Kato and Hiro sing were from like Kobukuro or Chemistry or Rip Slime or like all these other things.
Ketsumeshi, Shonan no Kaze. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's the first time I ever heard that. So that's how I got to know it also.
Yeah.
Karaoke is a big part of it.
Yeah, especially for accent, man. Like one thing I notice about most people who learn Japanese is they can't get rid of their native accent. Mm-hmm. They'll bring that into the Japanese. But from what I notice about the people who can completely get rid of their accent is they're also good at singing. So it's like if you get really into singing and you have a good ear, you can train your tongue.
Yeah. The muscles.
Yeah, your muscle memory to get around your accent.
Yeah. Probably same for English too. When Japanese people are singing English songs, or maybe not. That's a bigger.
I would say that takes way longer. Yeah. Because their alphabet is so like kaki kukeko, right? It's very stiff.
Yeah, that direction is harder actually.
Yeah. Did you ever get into Japanese dramas?
What do you like? What exactly?
So you talked about the Battle Royale thing. That's a movie, right?
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like TV shows.
What's like probably the most popular example? Because I can't even think.
I don't even know, man. I've only watched one Japanese.
Oh, no. I do. Yes. Okay, what? Yes. 100%. Far and away.
You watch a lot?
No. One drama that I was a huge fan of.
Densha Otoko?
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. Densha Otoko was good. Moe.
I love that show.
Yeah. And if you're wondering and you're listening to this episode, Densha Otoko is basically about this nerd who's on a train and then this girl gets bullied by a drunk guy. And then he imagines himself standing up for her, but then somebody else actually does it. And then somehow he meets her and then he falls in love with her, but doesn't have the courage to talk to her. And he's like a hardcore nerd. So he goes back home and he starts chatting with all his online friends. And then, everything just kind of clicks into place. And then he ends up meeting the girl. And then does he fall in love with her at the end?
They get together at the end.
Okay.
Like she comes in his room and sees all this otaku stuff. And he's like so embarrassed.
Yeah.
I'm an otaku.
Yeah, I don't remember the end. I remember only the beginning.
That's a good show. I like that one.
I wonder what's going to happen with like the prices of everything, man. Because let's say, for example, right, if you buy a PlayStation is a Japanese brand, or Sony is a Japanese company. So PlayStation is a Japanese product, right? And then let's say it was 50,000 a few years ago, and then they raised the prices up by 20% recently. So all the parts come from China, right? And they come into Japan. So the tariffs have nothing to do with the US.
Right.
So I wonder if the PlayStation in the US raises their prices, are they going to raise them in Japan too? There's all these kinds of questions linked to the tariffs. I wonder what's going to happen.
You know, when you talk about games, and I think this is something we should talk about because you play a lot of games these days, or recently, whatever, in your life here in Japan.
Yeah.
I don't, even though I want to. What I do watch, and what I did watch, is I watch people playing games. And it's not even on Twitch or anything, which I guess is the most popular thing to do.
Yeah.
I watched it on YouTube. I watched this guy playing Skate, some kid playing
on a smartphone?
No. He plays Skate on whatever, on PlayStation or something. And he has his, little picture-in-picture commentating while he's playing the game. And I'm just watching him play the game. And I like it. I feel like I'm playing and I don't have to buy anything. And then I watched somebody play Death Stranding.
Oh, I love that game.
And I think I told you about this. He has 36 episodes of Death Stranding on his YouTube channel where he plays Death Stranding and just commentates on it.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it and I'm having fun watching him play. So that's all I do for like games and smartphone games. I only play this game called Clash Royale. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I've heard of it, yeah.
That's the only thing I play. I have this other thing called a Pocket Go. My cousin gave it to me. It's an emulator that has a bunch of ROMs installed on it, but it's in a like a Game Boy type of plastic.
Yeah, you have that.
I have it.
Wow.
Pocket Go. And whatever, it's some kind of like knockoff Game Boy plastic thing, but it's loaded with ROMs and emulators and stuff, so you can play a lot of stuff. So I play Advance Wars. I don't know if you've heard of that game, on it from the Game Boy Advance. So that's all I do these days for gaming.
Yeah, man, I haven't played. I mean, recently I've been replaying Breath of the Wild with my son because he wants to play the game, but he doesn't know how to read English that well. So,
but I saw earlier he was playing it and it was in Japanese.
Oh yeah, because he learned how to change his Nintendo Switch to the Japanese setting. His sister told him how to do that like just a few days ago.
Okay.
But
okay. So before it was all in English, and so you were playing with him.
Yeah, and but even in Japanese, I mean, he doesn't know how to read kanji that well.
Yeah.
But I'm replaying it with him, teaching him the techniques of how to fight and stuff like that.
That sounds fun.
Strategies. And it's really fun. We play together. And it's just like one mission each. You do one mission, you pass the controller like when we were kids.
Oh, cool.
I used to love horror, but after I moved to Japan.
Resident Evil?
Yeah, like Resident Evil, for example. I used to love Resident Evil, Silent Hill, like those kind of games.
Yeah.
But like once you move to Japan and you start to understand the level of stress that living here gives you, like playing those scary games just adds to your stress.
Wow. Okay, so I know what you're going to say now. You're going to say like the reason you're playing these kinds of games is to de-stress and escape.
Yeah, to escape the stress.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is like every time something happens in my life where like stress, where I'm not really stressed out, then I'll play those games. So like, for example, the past few years, right? I played during COVID, I played Resident Evil 7 because it's like almost zero stress during COVID because it's locked down, can't go nowhere. Dude, you never tried playing online games in Japan, right?
Like, no.
Oh, because like the first time I signed up, when I bought Grand Theft Auto 5, right? I bought the Japanese version. I bought it here in Japan. And I played it online and I didn't realize that it would connect me to Japanese servers if I have the Japanese version. Because I thought it would just like connect me to whatever VPN I set, but it would connect me to the Japanese server. So I would just be playing the game and then somebody who hacked the game and they cannot die, right? They'll kill me and then just in Japanese be like, man, you weak piece of or whatever like that. And then when you listen closely to their voice, it's like some 10-year-old kid.
So you never watch Japanese TV?
Rarely, man.
Yeah.
But I do watch it sometimes because like the Itekyu show that we talked about.
Yeah.
Itekyu is really good. And then once in a while, there's something interesting. Like I like this one show. I don't know the name of it, but I'll just be walking out of this room and then go into my living room, for example, and my wife will be watching something and it'll be like, they have these like famous people walking around different streets in Tokyo, just walking into random restaurants and trying them.
Yeah.
and then they get to see the food and everything.
Yeah.
And those ones I really like because sometimes they walk into some places that I end up visiting that are really good. Like I once saw this episode where it wasn't even that show anymore. I'm talking about something completely different, but it was this show where they highlighted Japan's top burger spots, but it was from a Japanese person's perspective, not from an American's perspective, which I really liked because now you're talking about sales figures, right? That's the data that they have.
Oh.
Versus when it's an American, they're just like, everybody from America who makes blogs says this one is good.
Yeah.
But now you have actual sales figures.
Yeah.
And then I went to the top one and the second one. And my favorite was actually the second one. It's called The Great Burger in Harajuku.
We went there.
Yeah, I took you there. That one is my favorite burger shop in the world. Not that I've been to that many places in the world, but yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I remember.
Even just their corned beef sandwich, man, it's really good.
That's the one you got.
That's the one I got last time, yeah. But
Harajuku,
yeah.
Man, that was
there's
a long
2
time
spots
ago.
now. Yeah, during that time you could actually walk in and just sit down when it's not busy. But now there's no time that's like that anymore. Every time you go, doesn't matter the time of day, it's packed.
Have you been back recently?
I pass by every time I go to Harajuku and can never convince myself to line up because if the line looks like it's like 10, 15 minutes, yeah, sure. If the line looks like it's an hour, no, thank you. And it always looks like it's 2 hours because the line goes around the block.
Jeez. Yeah, especially now, there's a lot of tourists, a lot of people from overseas here. So everywhere is like lines. Man, I don't go to Tokyo much. I went recently, yesterday, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of people everywhere.
Yeah, even here in Kasai, like before, I would see a tourist maybe like once a month, maybe like once or twice a month. But nowadays, I see a tourist like every like 15 minutes if I'm outside. I'd be like, oh, there's a tourist there. Oh, there's a tourist there.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know.
It's different. It feels weird. Even if I go to a restaurant, I'll see at least one.
Yeah.
Like we just came from Sushiro a few minutes ago or like an hour ago. And I saw like a couple foreigners sitting down.
Yeah, a lot of my friends have been visiting over the past year or two. And it's because the dollar's strong.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I was talking to my brother who lives in Florida. And he goes, he takes a look at my sushi plate, right? And he goes, oh man, in Florida, that would be $18. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, what? This plate was $2.70, like super cheap.
Yeah.
And then I hear from other people, other Chamorro people living in the US, and they're like, oh, if I'm going to go eat sushi, I need to make sure that my bank account is topped up.
Yeah.
Because it's like hundreds of dollars to eat sushi in those places versus Sushiro.
And I know.
Everything's like $1 something.
No, it's really freaking cheap. I mean, we were just there and I was surprised how cheap it was.
You, me, and my son ate and it was like $38.
Well, no. Well, I mean, even if you convert it to dollars,
if you convert it to dollars, it's like $28, $29.
3 of us. And
for
we didn't
3
eat
of us.
Not that much. We ate
You
enough.
had 10 plates. I had like 8 plates. My son had like 4 plates.
$10 each. 10, 12
Yeah, and then my
each.
son also had like ice cream and juice and stuff like that. $30.
That would be $300.
I don't know about 300, but with that many plates, I'm gonna guesstimate it's gonna be around like 100 something, given the type of fish that we ate, because we ate ikura, right, which is expensive in the US.
Yeah.
That's one of the few things that I'm grateful for living in Japan is the sushi is cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And then even if you go to the supermarket, you can buy your own fillet for like $7, $8.
Yeah.
Cut it yourself and get the equivalent of like 30, or not 30, maybe like 20 plates of sushi with just that one fillet.
Yeah, my dad was visiting recently and we just got sushi from the supermarket and he was like, geez, quality, sushi supermarket's really high. We said, oh, it's normal. And he was like, no, this is really good.
You know, that happened when the first time I came to visit, like I went to Osaka with you. We spent like 3 months, right?
Yeah.
And then when we went back to Saipan, I told Hiro, I was like, I'm ashamed to say this, but Japanese konbini food is as good as American restaurant food. That's it for today's episode. If you have any questions or any comments, or if you'd like us to share anything on the show, just let me know. And until next time, excuse me, my Sane, and see you.